There we go. I think we're good to go. Yep. I think we're good. We're knowing in a second. Yeah, as soon as he starts talking. All right. And he is talking. Yes. Yes. Let me see this. And we're going to do that. Yep. YouTube sound is fine. Yep. Oh, good. YouTube sound is fine. I think we're sounding good, Gian. Let's go, G. Yes. All right. I like that. Audio is good. All right, folks, we're live in 5 minutes. Coming up. Let me just make sure. Okay. There's that. YouTube sound is good. Good afternoon, everybody. Our YouTube crowd continues to build momentum, I should say. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes. You can always watch on YouTube. A lot of people like it because then you can keep it on your phone while you scroll around a little bit. Pleasant day. Yep. You know, YouTube continues to be, what are we up to? 62,000 followers, 62.3. So almost on our way to 63,000. That will be priority rest of the year, you know, going forward. Although, you know, we put a lot of video there. All right. Oh, let me just check our Facebook feed, which I think should be fine. I believe so. Yep, there I am. What did I just see? Is there someone wanted? Remember, on Facebook, you can share that you are watching. No court today. I'm going to talk about that. No court today. I know something also about the Real Housewives that's coming to Rhode Island. Normally don't want to talk about that, but oh wow, level 3 sex offender from Warwick. Whoa. There we go. All right, we're live in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Yep. That's okay. And we are live. Yes. Good afternoon. This is Jane Rice. There she is. Now, folks, I'm waiting. If you saw last night, that was pretty good. Court TV. The studio audience was a lot of fun. Vinnie Politan. I know I'm included tonight. It's just a matter of what time. So I'm going to have to... I'll know more this afternoon. So, but they're in town. Let me also just explain. Court TV's only in town for this week. And then they go back to based out of Atlanta. So, so it's not like we're not going to do Road Patrol Live, but it's pretty fun. It was pretty fun last night doing that. Court canceled today. I'll give you the insight on that. A lot of rumors about that. Let me get rid of that. And that one we can. Okay, well, 2 minutes. 2 minutes out. 2 minutes out. You know, I don't mind that court was canceled today. Just because I actually didn't have much of a weekend and I needed a little more time to kind of get organized. So, I mean, I'll tell the whole story in a moment. All right, we are live in 2 minutes. 2 minutes on this Tuesday. You know, it's not bad when they take a day off during the week, you know, something like that. That's okay. Looking out for them. But I think there's a rhyme and the reason to it of why there was no court. And I'm going to tell you in a moment. You know, many of the Karen Reed supporters, they're so sensitive. You say anything and they're so sensitive. Never seen these people. They're They're so devoted. They don't even know her. They don't know her. They've never met her. They're so defensive. You say anything. Yep. That's right. Thank you, Bendy. 1 minute out. 1 minute out. Last night, if you missed it, it was pretty good. It was fun. Studio audience, live. Vinnie Politan live, closing argument. Did it. They have a nice studio. There were a number of people that have tickets for each night this week. So I'll know later this afternoon. Now, last night I was on 8 to 9. I don't know. Tonight, excuse me, tonight could be 9 to 10 or it could be 8 to 9. I don't know. We'll find out. All right, we're going to begin at 1:06 on this Tuesday, and it is a big Tuesday only because it's not your imagination. Normally, we would be outside of court, but we're not with the Karen Reed retrial because just as I was reaching, those of you that know the way, just as I was reaching it, one of my sources actually called and said, "Where are you?" And I said, I'm like 5 minutes out. 5 minutes out. And yes, thank you, Sal. Yes, Joe Krotchky was great. But anyhow, I'll tell you why I believe it's possible. It's possible. We'll just walk it through. If you're a Karen Reed supporter, listen, this is a major deal. It's a major deal. It's a major trial. This isn't you're just, calling out sick for your shift at Target. It's a little bit of a bigger deal. So all I would say is some of the people, they're so defensive. It's just very unusual, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, and also about last night, folks. This portion of the program, and I'll talk about the trial. There's a lot of people that didn't follow the first trial that are following this one. It's one of the biggest trials in the country. The two big trials going on right now in the free world, in the United States, is the Diddy trial out of New York, and also the Karen Reed murder retrial. Now, the Brian Kohlberg trial, that will be interesting when it fully kicks into gear. The problem with the Diddy trial is it's in federal court and there's no cameras allowed. The Reed case, you can watch it, as you know. Cameras are in the courtroom. Folks, this portion of the program, PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, they're off to a fantastic start. Stop and see everything available. Annuals, perennials, trees and shrubs, hanging pots, 10-inch, 12-inch moss baskets, hanging impatiens, pansy, marigold bags, large selection of beautiful patio pots, vegetable plants and herbs, tropical mandevillas, hibiscus plants. They have it all, plus screen bloom. They're a full-scale nursery. They're open 7 days a week, right off Route 4, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Look for them on Facebook. They run a great Facebook page. Folks, it's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Well, as always, you ever have a question, if you'd like to reach me, if you'd like to get a hold of me, that's the wrong word. If you would like to reach me, log on to the website, dpetro.com, and we have links to all of our social media. What does that mean? It means if you want to see the account on X, very active there. See our account, our page on Facebook, very active there. Just hit 94,000 followers. Facebook estimates in the next, between now and the 4th of July, we'll hit 100,000. Our TikTok link. TikTok's now 108,000 followers on TikTok. Instagram, the link to Instagram. What are we at? Instagram's almost 57,000 followers, and YouTube is, what did I say, 63,000. So plus the website, dpetro.com. Plus you can listen online. Right now we're live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. We're live on X and YouTube and Facebook. This portion of the program, check out depetro.com. Brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. Before I tell you the latest on the Karen Reed trial, client or sponsor spotlight today, they're having a job fair for Kids Club on the Pike. If you'd like to be a counselor, it's all day. between right now and 5 o'clock. Contact them, pop in. They have all different types of positions to work their summer camp, Kids Club on the Pike Summer Camp. Now, they're located right off 295, Cranston Johnston line. And it's a job fair, you'd like to be one of their summer camp counselors, obviously, very good wages. Kids Club on the Pike. You can call them 401-443-5336. Spots are filling up fast. I'd like to have your child or grandchild there. It's Kids Club on the Pike. All right. Where are we? So, first of all, last night, if you saw it, that was fun. It's going on again tonight. Court TV, Vinnie Politan. Now, yesterday morning at 8 o'clock, I started off the Monday live with the great Julie Grant on Court TV. And that was actually, court started late yesterday at 10 o'clock. So I was able to do it from home and then make my way to the courthouse. But then last night, they have Vinnie Politan closing argument, and he does closing argument 8 to 9, and then they do Vinnie Politan investigates 9 to 10. And so I was part of the 8 to 9, and it was fun. And good afternoon to everyone that was there. It was a nice crowd. People were very, very friendly. We're taking some pictures beforehand, and people certainly enjoy the updates from the courtroom. So let me just explain. I don't know what to make of the news. Well, we've learned, first of all, court was canceled today on this Tuesday. Now, they haven't announced anything, but I'm hearing from my sources that the court will be in session tomorrow. Today was supposed to be a special day. Trooper Yuri Buchanan, who, by the way, finished really strong. I guess if there are people who want to make fun of his accent, I'm not exactly sure why that's allowed or why. I mean, the guy joined the military after 9/11. He's a sergeant with the Massachusetts State Police. I don't know why. I don't understand when that became, let's just knock and make fun of the police. I don't get that. I certainly don't subscribe to it. He finished very strong, especially yesterday afternoon in redirect when they brought out the pieces of the taillight and they rolled through everything to just refresh where the investigation led them. Now, today, though, today was supposed to be a big day in court because two people that have been greatly impacted by the death of Officer John O'Keefe, they were both going to be in that courtroom today. And one is his niece, Kaylee, and the other is his nephew, Patrick. And my understanding is that his niece, who testified last trial, was going to be on the stand. I also want to be very clear. Anyone that, if you heard about her testifying, the niece now, she's going to be 18 in November. Now, I've been told she wants to testify. I've told she is mature beyond her years. I've seen some people saying, isn't this terrible that they're making these kids testify? Well, first of all, the nephew's not going to testify, but I've been told she wants to testify. She's going to be 18 in November. I would not be surprised if she starts speaking out on her 18th birthday. But they are the two people. Obviously, John O'Keefe's parents were impacted. Obviously, his brother Paul were impacted. Obviously, he has other nieces and nephews, and friends. But two people that were really counting on him were his niece and nephew, because he moved in with, remember, their parents was John O'Keefe's sister who died. And then tragically, her husband, John O'Keefe's brother-in-law, their father died. So suddenly it fell on Officer John O'Keefe to raise these children. So they were really dependent in that Meadows house. They were very dependent on their uncle, who was trying to adapt to it, right? Not easy. The Irish bachelor living in Dorchester moves to Canton, starts as been described, kind of becomes Mr. Mom. And now, so not only did they lose their parents, mother to cancer, and father, I believe, had a heart attack, but then their uncle was killed. So they're still in that house on Meadows, and then now their grandmother, Peg O'Keefe, is raising them, as she talked about on the stand. But they were really impacted. So today was supposed to be, I sound like Kelly Bates. Remember that video? Today was some kind of day. No, today the niece was going to be in the courtroom. And why this is so significant is it's my understanding that there is, I think we're going to have to wait till it plays out, but there's no love between the niece and the nephew and Karen Read. Now, some people can say, well, they were turned against Karen, but that morning, now Patrick, the nephew, he was at a sleepover. So his sister was home and old enough to stay home alone. You think about it, this happened January of 2022. So she's 17. Remember, they were celebrating. John and his friend Mike Camerano, they went out to celebrate because the girls got into Bishop Thean and they were excited, go to school together and so forth. So, well, now it's 3 years later. And Karen said she wanted to go by Meadows to see the children, but she really didn't see the children, according to the children of Peg O'Keefe. Their testimony was that Karen Read arrived back at John O'Keefe's home and then went upstairs with the father, where they believe the theory is that she then erased the Ring camera video. So, but my understanding, so I just don't think I don't think Karen Read wants to face the niece. And it's got to, that morning, that little girl, Kaylee, was sleeping, and a deranged Karen Read wakes her up and says, I need, the phone number of Jen McCabe. Remember Jen McCabe, they testified that it was Kaylee calling her that morning. And she was telling the niece, John O'Keefe's niece, that I left him at the waterfall. I left him at the waterfall. Maybe a snowplow hit him. I thought he went in the house. So from what I understand, it was very traumatic on the niece. That's what I've heard. I've also heard from people close to John O'Keefe's niece that she's never really talked about it. And I know someone who's very tight with her, and they're hesitant to talk about it. So now we hear that there was illness. That there's illness. Now, I was in court yesterday. I was not only in court yesterday, I was outside of court yesterday afternoon. She looked fine to me. She was I have a video on TikTok. She was taking photos with her fans. Looked fine. There's one reporter that was sick, but so last night, she looked fine. We didn't hear anything about it. Suddenly this morning, Karen Read can't be in court. Now, I jokingly post on an X, maybe she's got a touch of the Irish flu. I've heard that she has been spotted out nightly, boozing it up in and around the seaport. That's what I have heard from very, very reliable sources. We've already heard from Karen herself. She doesn't like a weak pour. I had one taste of the vodka tonic, and I could taste the tonic. I went, what is this? I want a double shot. Get some booze in here. Boy, talk about a booze hound. So I posted on X. Do you understand? There were no missed days for sickness last spring. I don't remember. I'm trying to think back. I think I covered a mob trial like way back, and one of the guys, was ill. But so I put, does she have a touch of the Irish flu? Is this like a booze hound? Is it possible, right? Is it possible that the defendant's hungover and can't make the bell to be in court? I just can't believe how many people are upset about that. Her drinking has been long established, and she has been spotted. I don't know if there's a gin mill along the seaport that she hasn't been in. So I don't go there. That bartender's a weak pour. I like strong drinks that get me drunk in a hurry. Weak pour. I said, John, I took one taste. Why is there ice in this? Classic signs of someone with an alcohol problem. So the outrage of how dare you? I'm just saying it's highly unusual. This is a big deal. This trial is a big deal. So they had a Zoom with the judge. I think Jonathan Hall of Channel 7 was the only reporter in there, and then they even kicked him out. I'm hearing that she, I believe the defendant, is going to be in court tomorrow. That's what I've heard. However, I've also heard they're trying to push and explore, is there a way that she could be on Zoom while the niece and nephew are in the courtroom? That's not happening. This isn't COVID anymore, Karen. Someone one of the jurors has COVID. I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't seen one juror drop off. So the the Zoom thing, I don't feel well. Could I be on Zoom? For how long? As long as the niece and nephew are in the courtroom. No, you're going to have to go face them, because they have been, along with his brother Paul and his mom, he was raising the niece and nephew, and they were dependent on him. I'm going to come back to that. Folks, this portion of the program, remember, when disaster strikes, ServPro of Providence, that's where they come in. Fire, flood, right? Mold, ServPro of Providence. Call them today, 401-941-5500. 401-941-5500. Fast, thorough, professional. ServPro of Providence. 401-941-5500. Water damage, fire, flood, ServPro of Providence. I share their Facebook page, 401-941-5500. Well, folks, good afternoon. This portion of the program, and it is nice on this Tuesday, I believe we're back in court tomorrow. But what is it that causes someone a one-day illness? Stomach bug? Possible? She's really thin. She's very thin, Karen Reed. Suddenly today, she couldn't go to court. She's delaying the inevitable. I'm willing to bet, I think Alan Jackson said, okay, today, we're just going to say you're sick, but you got to be there tomorrow. Well, can't I just do it by Zoom? No. Can't do it by Zoom. You have to be in the courtroom. Tomorrow's supposed to be day 15. So today doesn't count. Tomorrow will be day 15. I know some people think that the defense is just running roughshod. In talking with different criminal defense attorneys, that's not the impression that I get. And I'm going to touch on that. But folks, on this, and the weather is pleasant. Yesterday was beautiful. All week, off and on weather. But it's brought to you by Watson Materials. You can call them for a free quote, 401-885-0600. Watson Materials. Get a quote. Landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, unilock fair stone, cobblestone, decorative stone. Call Sean at Watson Materials, the most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. 401-885-0600. 401-885-0600 for Watson Materials. Well, folks, good afternoon. So with the Reed case, I just don't understand why people are freaking out. I think that's what it was. I think it suddenly dawned on her of who was going to be in the courtroom today. It's highly unusual. Some people are saying, well, maybe it's one of the attorneys. No, you still have court. Someone else posted, this was early. Someone else posted, well, maybe the father. No, you don't cancel with the father. So it had to be the defendant. And now the media is revealing that it was the defendant. But I just, why I find it hard to believe that suddenly she has an illness and can't be in court. I put, well, she was fine over the weekend. Someone said, what does that have to do with it? Well, many times, if you're catching a cold, you kind of know the day before. You start to kind of feel lousy, whatever it may be. Flu season is basically over. She is around a lot of people. That's true. There was some contest winners in court yesterday. So, but if she's in court tomorrow, what is this? She seemingly has been fine. Doesn't miss any interviews. What I'd like to point out, because I'm not trying to, if you are a Karen Read supporter, I'm not trying to, number one, couple things. I'm not trying to convince anybody. You believe whatever you want. Number two, because I'm not going to be the one to convince you. I'm not even trying to convince people. I'm not. You believe whatever you want to believe. Okay, that's the way that goes. You believe whatever it is that you want to believe. But if you want to believe that this trial is going fine, then you go ahead and believe that. But I think it's a fair question. Would she have missed court today if things were going well? I was talking to a criminal defense attorney last night. Joe Krowski was excellent, by the way. But this defense attorney was saying trials are about momentum. And the momentum right now is with the prosecution. And he was saying that last spring in the first trial, when you're a criminal defense attorney, all you try to do is come to a draw. Just don't get beat. And he said last spring, they were actually winning some days. They won the day of the Sally Port that the Commonwealth didn't realize it was inverted. They won with the Proctor stuff. That did happen. They won when some of the witnesses were kind of angry, but not a lot of people that follow it seem to feel that they're winning right now. And I've also, listen, we don't know who's going to be on the jury. There's a couple of things I want to mention about the jury, by the way. We don't know who's going to be on the jury. I know that some people focus on one juror. There's one individual, and they just focus on that individual. There's no guarantee that that person's going to be selected for the jury. There's no guarantee. That's number one. Number two, as someone that I've covered, I was adding it up, somewhere between 25 to 30 trials. When I've interviewed some former jurors, here's the adage is you only need one juror that doesn't believe. You know, if you're the defense, you just need one juror to hold out and you get a mistrial. But what I don't hear a lot of people talk about is that's not as easy as it sounds. These people, the members of the jury, they spend a lot of time together. And not everybody has it in them to, you know, you would have to stand up to the crowd. There's 12 of you. And 11 are all saying, we think, you know, the following, whatever it is, guilty or not guilty. I have interviewed people, former jurors. They say it's not as easy as people think. People are tired. They want to go home to their families. They want to go home. And this one woman said to me one time that she wasn't 100% convinced, but when she realized that the vote went 10-2, and it was just her and this other woman, and then the other woman said, fine, you know, I'll flip, guilty. And then it was just 11-1. She said, fine, I'll vote, you know, I'll go along. I'm tired as well. And whatever questions I have, it's not that overwhelming. So my point is, I know some members of the media are focusing on one individual. You don't know if that person's going to be chosen. And to me, you have to look at the whole, because I think there are some people on the jury, to me, that they're not overreacting, but they seem to make it clear that they're following along. And I believe that the Commonwealth, Hank Brennan, I think he's putting on a very easy to understand case. So again, if you're a big Karen Read supporter, I'm not trying to flip you. I'm not. Some people try to do that. Some people approach me, let's debate. I can give it. I'm not looking for that. And I'm not looking to do that. But what they have shown the first 14 days, it's tough to come away from that. Alan Jackson is good. He's not the Alan Jackson from last spring. And I just mean he's not working with, it's a whole different game. Folks, this portion of the program, remember, if you need a criminal defense attorney, Marin, Barrett, and Murphy, criminal defense lawyers, 50 years combined Rhode Island criminal defense experience. Why not call, say, I have a legal question, Marin, Barrett, and Murphy, 401-228-8271, 401-228-8271 for Marin, Barrett, and Murphy. And we have Stephanie Murphy on and do our legal segment. I also want to remind you that if you get a new roof, that's a great investment. You will increase the value of your home or business with a new roof. Roof Co. Rhode Island. They'd be happy to give you a free quote. 401-868-7149. 401-868-7149. Roof Co. Rhode Island. Maybe you have a leaky roof. Maybe you have wind damage. It's an important part of your home. It's an important part of the structure is the roof. Curled shingles, granules in the gutter, damaged chimney flashing. Call Joe. Free estimate. You're going to increase the value of your home or business, the building, the domicile, the structure. 401-868-7149 for Roof Co. Rhode Island. So last night, as with the Karen Reed, the live show, and at the end of the live show, or kind of near the end, they had Matt Johnson in the audience, and then they allowed some of the studio audience to come up and ask some questions. And I think the first question had to do with Trooper Butnick. And does that mean he's in trouble? I'm not sure exactly what that has to do with the case, but that was the question. And then I thought Joe Krowski answered it pretty well. But then the next person that asked a question, there were two other women, and they were definitely Karen Reed supporters. One started saying about the dog, and this woman's obsessed about the dog. How do you know it's the same dog? And what about the dog? Folks, I want to back up for a moment. And again, everyone's entitled to their own, I don't think I have to keep saying that, but this whole business of the dog, Chloe, who now they've changed the name. But do you understand? The defense can't get him in the house. The defense doesn't have him in the house. This whole business of the dog bite, they because of the data from the phone, as someone that's sitting there in the courtroom, and we'll see, I'm in this week, the rest of this week, and then we'll see what happens next week. But what has been laid out so far, the data from John O'Keefe's cell phone, they don't have him inside the house. They don't. This isn't a great analogy, but to me, when people talk about dog bites, it's the equivalent of trying to argue of whether a football team should kick the point extra, the point after touchdown, or should they go for two when they haven't even scored they haven't even gotten the ball in the end zone. What are we talking about? Well, I want to talk about the dog bites. They can't get him in the house. There's no witness that said they saw him in the house. His phone does not have him going inside. Right now, and this is a new development, the only person that is saying he went in that house is Karen Reed. And she didn't say that right away. She didn't say that in the beginning. She didn't say that morning, well, Jen, you were inside. I saw him go inside. She didn't say that. She didn't say it to the police. She didn't even say it when she first started doing interviews in September 2023. I was talking to a national reporter said, wow, Karen's now saying he went in the house. That's not what she told, and I won't give away which one, but she did national interviews. My point is she never had him in the house. When Karen Reed arrived that morning at the scene with Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts, she didn't say, hey, what happened? What happened? I saw him going in the what? She didn't say that. What'd she say? I hit him. And then they want to say, well, no, she asked, did I hit him? It doesn't matter. The words that matter are the hit and him. She didn't say I hit him. She said, did I hit him? My favorite part of the trial so far was, did she say I hit him? I hit him. I hit him 4 times or 3 times? Does it blanking matter? I come back to with the OJ case. Well, there wasn't a lot of Ron Goldman blood in the Bronco. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Question, why was there any blood of Ron Goldman in the Bronco? Someone that OJ had never met before, let alone met. Blood inside the Bronco. She only said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him 3 times, not 4 times. I'm not of the mindset to believe that that's a winning argument. My point is, then this other woman got up. This was last night at the Court TV live show in Dedham. She also said something interesting, and I'm going to touch on it. But folks, I want to remind you, if you're thinking of getting, maybe you want to get a sport court resurfaced, basketball court, pickleball, tennis, maybe they epoxy garages. Who am I talking about? Quality asphalt seal coating. Call Corey, 401-283-9815. 401-283-9815. Quality asphalt seal coating. Remember, they epoxy garages and patios, decorative concrete flooring. Where do you see what they can do to your property? They seal coat driveways and parking lots. It's amazing. Call for a free quote. Quality asphalt seal coating. Call Corey, 401-283-9815. Free quote, free estimate, 401-283-9815. So, again, there's no court today with Karen Reed. I don't know what happened. Illness. They can't tell us what it is due to HIPAA laws. But now other news outlets are reporting that she's the one, apparently illness. We don't know if she had a touch of the Irish flu. I do know there have been reports she's been a total booze hound in and around the seaport. So we've already heard firsthand she doesn't like anybody that's got a weak pour. If you're making a drink for her, easy on the ice and, pour away. Splash of tonic. Nothing that's going to soak up the booze for booze hound Karen, as we've learned. But did she have a touch of the Irish flu? It's possible. Maybe last night she had some winners in town or whoever they were. They were in court. They were taking photos. Maybe, maybe to her, 9 drinks isn't the end of the night. 9 drinks is the beginning of the night, right? Karen, let's have 9 drinks, then go out drinking. No, we don't know exactly what it is. I'm led to believe there will be court tomorrow. That's what I've been led to believe. But I want to come back to last night. Court TV did their live show, with Vinnie Politan. I was part of it. And so one of the women that got up to ask a question, and it's interesting to me that she said, I have a question for the lawyers, but she said, what about the dog bites? What about the fact they got rid of their phones? What about the butt dials? What about the solo cups? Folks, it's all distraction. One of the former jurors, the guy with the bow tie, Ronnie, I think, he was on Canton Confidential last night. He said the dog never came into play with them. That wasn't something they were looking at. But here's that woman that I didn't answer her question. I think Joe Krowski did. But if I had, those are all floating around out there. What about the dog bites? What about this whole business of the phones? There's many people that would not want to have to give up and turn in their phone, and it's not because of nefarious reasons. How many people listening or watching right now would say, here you go, here's my phone. Keep in mind, they're going to pour through it. If anyone sent you an inappropriate meme, if someone, a friend of yours, sent you a text with inappropriate language, maybe it was something sexual. If you sent, I don't know, a pornographic image or an inappropriate comment about something. That is something that could come out. The fact that a lot of people might not want to hand over their cell phone, it doesn't mean it's anything nefarious. But here's how I would have answered that woman. So she said, what about the dog bites? What about the solo cups? What about the phones? What about the butt dials? Here's the answer. What about the cracked taillight? What about the sneaker they found at the scene that matched? What about his hat buried in the snow, meaning John? What about he had grass stains on him that we saw in court? Gee, I wonder what that's from. It sure looks like he was knocked backwards and then landed on his phone, which is why the back pocket ripped. Grass stains. What does that tell you? Sounds like that would lead me to believe he hit the ground very hard and it wasn't covered in snow yet. What about her saying, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? What about the first thing that Karen Reed said when she called Kerry Roberts was, John's dead. Then she said, I think a snowplow hit him. And then she said to Jen McCabe, I left him at the waterfall. And then if Jen McCabe had not said anything, Karen Reed would have said, I left him at the waterfall. Not even remembering or realizing that John called Jen McCabe for directions on the way. Why does she keep changing her story? When the troopers went to her parents' house that day, Karen Reed said, well, come to think of it, John banged his head 2 days ago. So if he has a gash on the back of his head, it's probably from that. Not exactly. I mean, is that what she was thinking? That's the out? Come to think of it, he did bang his head. Oh, does he have a lump? That's consistent with what you got to come back, folks. And again, I'm not trying to be CSI or Columbo, but you don't have to take my word for it. Talk to any member of law enforcement, and the story they initially come out with is usually pretty much closest thing to the truth. So I want to, an attorney, about this business of changing this story, an attorney told me something interesting that I want to share with everyone, but I do want to stay on schedule. Folks, this portion of our program, and it's brought to you by, and they do such a fantastic job. It's Propane Plus. Give them a call today, 401-885-4209. In Rhode Island, Propane Plus, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. Heating and cooling, you can depend on Propane Plus. Find them online, propaneplus.com. Residential, commercial, put in your zip code. You can depend on Propane Plus for all your heating and cooling. Remember, call them in Rhode Island, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. I had an attorney. I was on a show. This is quite some time ago. And the topic came up about someone changing the story. And this was an attorney, I think it was a prosecutor, who said, and this was the example he gave to someone that was a guest on the show. And it's akin to, not exactly, but along the lines of, let's just say you had a roommate and you came home and you noticed $50 is missing from your room. And you say to your roommate, I have $50 missing from my room. And the roommate says, I haven't even been home. Oh, okay. Then little time goes by and then you find the roommate was home. And you say to the roommate, I just learned from across the hall you were home. And she said, well, I was home in the apartment, but I didn't go into your room. Oh, okay. Didn't go into your room. Didn't go into my room, missing $50. A little bit later, you realize that some CDs are missing. Ask the roommate. Roommate says, well, yeah, I went in your room to borrow the CDs, but I didn't touch the money. Look at what just happened in a very short amount of time. First, I wasn't home. Then I was home, but not in your room. I was in the apartment. And then 3, well, I took CDs out, but I didn't touch money. My point is, and it wasn't my point actually, but look at how the story just kept evolving. As the roommates started to find someone across the hall saw her come in. She noticed something else is missing from the room. So the point is about Karen Reed is, and as it's been talked about, right now, she just keeps the stories evolving. The stories evolving. I remember with the Charlotte Lester case with Mark Perkins, a lot of people saying, why don't they put out more information? And as we have learned and talked about, is because you don't want to allow the accused, the defendant, the suspect to do, as Tim Dodd used to talk about, backfill and fill in the blanks to give themselves an alibi, as Sergeant Buchanan said. Now, I also want to mention, I sat in the courtroom. Alan Jackson was rough on Sergeant Buchanan. This is a guy that joined the military after 9/11. He's a sergeant with the Massachusetts State Police. He talked about the investigation. He talked about going to her parents' house. He laid out the course of events, who he was doing the investigation with. It is my opinion that the jury found him very credible. What do I mean by that? I've been in where there are witnesses that are not very credible. He's pretty credible. When you had the witness from ARCA on the stand, when they had the hearing about ARCA, and Hank Brennan was hammering that guy and finally got him to admit he was communicating with the defense by a signal app. Now, that is someone that was losing credibility rapidly. That woman who supposedly is a dog bite expert, Marie Russell, when Hank Brennan they had the hearing on her, she is someone that the more he spoke to her and had her testify, there was less, I found her less credible, especially when Hank Brennan said, we have the dog. You can examine the dog. You're claiming those are dog bites. We have the dog. You can match it up with the teeth. And she said, oh no, I have no interest in examining that dog. You would think it'd be like, absolutely. Let's go tonight, get that dog. Measure the teeth. I'm going to do an examination to show this tooth is that tooth is that. I mean, there is a rhyme and reason. Every tooth in a dog's mouth is actually numbered and then has a reference to it. Think of if you go for a cleaning or you're at the dentist and they say, I see a problem with all of your teeth are numbered. I see a problem with 27 or whatever it may be. Oh yeah, look at that, and blah, blah, blah. So my point is, I just didn't see that. And there was one time that the jury did laugh. I wouldn't say they were laughing at Trooper Buchanan when he had to read the text messages, and then Alan Jackson, the defense attorney, said, do you mind giving date and time when the text message was put in and from who? Because he's reading, from Karen to Brian Higgins. I think you're hot. Really? Then the sergeant said, do you want me to start over again? And Jackson said, no, you don't have to. And everyone laughed. Now, if someone wants to say, well, the jury was laughing at him, it was just kind of a lighthearted moment in the courtroom. And there have not been a lot of lighthearted moments. So for someone to say the jury's laughing at him, is there one member of the jury who is making weird faces? Is there one member of the jury who is looking perplexed? Possible. I think I know who certain people are referring to, but I wouldn't say all of them. It's not like everybody's lost. It's not like everyone's like, that is certainly not the case. I would say, and again, people can believe whatever they want, but Buchanan yesterday with the pieces of the taillight, she had a broken taillight. She mentioned she had a broken taillight. When they went to tow her vehicle, she had a broken taillight. If people want to believe that they went to the Canton Sallyport and lifted evidence to plant at the scene. Be my guest. It just doesn't seem plausible. There's a huge difference between is it possible or is it plausible? Huge difference of plausible and possible. And folks, as you know, the old legal adage is just you don't have to witness everything to be able to tell something happened. You go to bed at 9 o'clock in the wintertime, you wake up, there's snow on the ground. Did you see it snow? No. You went to bed at 9, there was no snow. You woke up at 6 in the morning, there's snow on the ground. What can we conclude? It snowed overnight, but you didn't see it snow. That's true. The person didn't see it snow, but they woke up, it was no longer snowing, and there was snow on the ground. I went to bed at 9, I woke up at 6, and there's snow on the ground. It must have snowed overnight, but you didn't see it snow. How do you know it wasn't a planet exploded and that's nuclear dust? Until someone tells me differently, I'm going to believe it's snow, not nuclear dust. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Arch Design Builders. Now, remember, they specialize in residential design. Call them 401-207-4124. 401-207-4124. Call Ed and Roxanne. Maybe it's time for a new kitchen. Maybe it's time for a new bathroom or a basement or a deck or a special project. Arch Design Builders. High-end, custom build, customer service. It all starts with the phone call. It all starts with the phone call to set up the free consultation and meeting. Arch Design Builders. 401-218-9707. 401-218-9707. They're another one. They have excellent social media. And I share both their Facebook and Instagram page, but you're going to love dealing with Arch Design Builders, Ed and Roxanne. Now, let me just double, good afternoon, one and all. Again, no court today. Karen Reed had some kind of an illness, apparently. Let me just check. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not exactly sure what that is or what that says. I want to just make sure that nothing has come down or happened, that I am, missing anything. Someone's posting the clips from last night. Let's see. Yeah, quick illness. Listen, that's news of the day. Highly unusual. Normally doesn't happen. I don't see any other. David of Channel 5 update. A source close to the case tells me it's Karen Reed who is ill today. We've known that. No, she's physically ill. Come on, go easy. All right, well, that's been established. I just don't see why people get so upset that you point out that it's rather unusual that out of nowhere, here's Christina Rex, 2 sources confirmed Karen Reed is the one sick, which is the unavoidable circumstance that canceled court today. We have not received a scheduling update for the rest of the week. Now, I've heard that court is tomorrow. Maybe it's not. But I also wanted, folks, just be how many people? Let's just be realistic here just for a moment, if it's okay. And again, right now, we are live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. You can listen online at the website, dpetro.com. We are also right now live on YouTube and X and Facebook. And I do want a special shout out. We have almost 3,600 people watching live today. So that's, as someone that I'm always monitoring numbers, that's pretty healthy for being live between 1 and 2. You just go to depetro.com, click listen live, weekdays 11 to 2 on the radio. 11 to 2 on the radio is 11 to 2. Oh, I thought you're just on YouTube. No, see how it says weekdays 11 to 2 on the radio, listen live. See that? Oh, I thought you were just on Facebook. Well, you thought wrong. No, we use as many platforms as possible. That's feasible. The big growth, we've had growth on all of our platforms, as a matter of fact, but the big growth has really been on Instagram. Instagram, we just started last year, and we should be flirting with 60,000 by July 1st. I feel comfortable throwing that out. I think we're all waiting for a court update, but you should need to understand it's highly unusual for a defendant in a murder trial to suddenly say they're sick. And the other thing about it is, okay, let's talk about when you're sick. Many times, I'm not saying all the time, but many times you start to feel lousy the night before. I mean, I guess there are things that happen. You get a germ, you have a cold. I don't think you cancel court if you have a cold. If you're deathly ill, I just don't know. Do you understand? They canceled court at 8:35. The prosecution was showing up. That leads me to believe it was after 8 o'clock that they got in touch with the court, maybe even right around 8 o'clock. I mean, instead of arriving at the courthouse, they're calling to say, we're not coming today. When did the person wake up? Did Karen Reed wake up feeling lousy? Did she feel lousy last night? Did she say, hey, I don't feel well, I'm going to go to bed early and see how I feel in the morning? I mean, it's possible, but it's not Friday, it's Tuesday. You had all weekend to kind of relax and recover. So she seemed okay yesterday at the end of the day. Let's see how she feels tomorrow. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by J. Perry Paving. High quality, fair pricing, exceptional service, 20 years experience. They specialize commercial paving, residential paving, seal coating, free estimate, any project, letter J, J. Perry Paving. Now remember, call them today. Free quote, 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730, letter J, J. Perry Paving. And remember, no one has a better package for veterans than J. Perry Paving. Call them. Maybe you're a veteran, or your mom's a veteran, or your dad, or your son, or your grandfather, or your brother-in-law. J. Perry Paving. 401-732-1730. What a difference. They've done some great work in Smithfield. They've done some tremendous work in North Smithfield. They've done some fantastic work in Lincoln and Cumberland. J. Perry Paving, 401-732-1730. Now, a couple of other reminders. See that beautiful, look at that beautiful grass. Yep, people ask me all the time. It's because of a lawn doctor. Call them today, 401-392-1025. They have a great website. It's lawndoctor.com, lawndoctor.com. And you just type in your zip code, and Lawn Doctor Rhode Island is your lawn care company. Now, also, you know what's a great company? Mosquito Joe of Rhode Island. They'll come and spray your property so you can enjoy it without getting eaten alive. Contact them. Contact Mosquito Joe, 401-426-2032. They're another one. I share that Facebook page. I am blown away. Mosquito Joe, Rhode Island. I first started dealing with last summer. We can sit out at night. Spring, summer, fall, nothing. No bugs. You wait all year for this. You don't want to be running a blood bank at night. Mosquito Joe, Rhode Island. I've dealt with different companies. They're the best. Call them, 401-426-2032. At 1:59, if you're listening to the radio, well, keep listening. You're going to hear the 2 o'clock news. Everyone else, I don't know. Game time decision. We may be out on Road Patrol Live, or I may be live on Court TV with Vinny and his live shows. I'm probably going to know in the next couple of hours. But again, the big story, no court today, canceled at the last second. First time that happened. That did not happen in the first trial. First time it's happened here. I'm hearing there's court tomorrow. That's what I've heard. But it's Karen that apparently had the illness. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And again, on the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. Everybody else, we are going to be back. Either we're going to be back live, or we'll see on Court TV.